Hi, I'm Judith. I'm a Canadian and I'm 80 years old. And today I'm going to talk about the grace of gratitude. This channel exists because at my age, I think that I've got a few things that I've learned along the way and I want to share with people about how to create a happy and fulfilled life, a satisfying life, a successful life by your own terms. And one of the major ways in which I think it's been proven in research and stuff, but one of the major ways I found that helps me to do that is to focus on gratitude. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about why do this, why, how to do it, some maybe some help in how to do it, and what I think that that does and means for us. Um, I started many years ago. I've talked in other videos about how I have lists of things that I fill out at night, and I think I mentioned that I have a habit tracker, and I'll be talking about that in another video. Um, I I spend a few moments, a few minutes really, every evening, just sort of going over my list of things that I was supposed to do in the day to see if I did them. That's partly because I have ADHD and I can lose focus easily and I need to keep track, but it's also because I really want to create and have certain outcomes in my life. And to do that, I have to keep working away at tasks that will create those. But I also have talked about the power of visualization and the power of and the magic of visualization actually, and the power of affirmations. Um, but again, today I want to talk about this thing I do every night, which is that I have a gratitude journal. And the one I use, doesn't matter what you use, you could use a spare piece of paper. I use this one. Uh, my one of my daughters, my elder daughter, bought it for me a few years ago and gave me one. They're good for a year, and gave me one for Christmas. And I discovered that she had bought it at Dollarama, which is a Canadian dollar store. And so I went out and bought as many copies as I could. And this is the last one I've got. So I don't know what I'm going to do next year for a gratitude journal. You can buy other gratitude journals. This one was just really inexpensive and it's very simple. You can see that basically it has a few pages of things at the front, but basically every month it just has a place to put uh, things that I'm grateful for that day, and there's room for every day. And then I just mark the dates. We're in March of 2026 now, and I just mark the 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 day of the week and the date on each month, and then I fill it out. Every night I fill out three things, sometimes four or five. I can squeeze them in that I'm grateful for. Um, you can buy other journals. I don't think it matters really what kind of journal you use. You can just use a little notebook. I like this, and it's got a few inspirational sayings here and there. Um, I used to always also buy one called the Simple Abundance Journal years ago. I used that, and it's likely still available. I didn't check. It's likely still available online, but it will be more expensive. A lot of the others that I see online are they're just filled with all kinds of things, prompts and like much more detailed than I want to get into in a day. So, so I've been doing this for some years, and I find that the benefits of it are that well, let me go back to the idea of affirmations and visualizations, that thoughts are things, that what you focus on grows, and that the more that you think about things that are positive and good, the more that's what you'll see. We all have a kind of confirmation bias, and we're always making stories in our head about things and how things are. And if we think that expect to see negative things, we will see negative things. And if we are looking for positive things, we'll find positive things. And I've got to tell you that even in the worst moments, on the worst days, there are some things that are positive. I mean, honestly, some days I have written, I am really grateful that today is over. Or I have written, I am really grateful that I get to go to bed now. Or I am really grateful that that tomorrow is another day. That's the most positive thing I can say about today. On the other hand, um, I think it's really important to have that spiral of positivity, to be thinking always of positive things. The more you think about, the more you write down a gratitude, the more during the day you tend to notice the things to be grateful for. And that puts a little happy cast on your day. It gives you a little moment of joy, even if things aren't going really well. And sometimes it helps you to see the silver linings among the terrible things, you know. You can have something that isn't very happy happen to you, but you can see maybe a little silver lining to it. I don't have an example at my fingertips right now, but maybe I'll think of one as we go along. Um, so each night I just write down. It takes me 2 or 3 minutes. I don't think more than 5 if I really have to think hard about the day. But I do notice that as I go through my days now, I notice things that I think, oh, that'll be a good thing to put. I'm really grateful for that. The other day I had to go and renew my government health card, my Ontario health card, and I went out to a little town outside the city that I live in because it's easier to park there and stuff. And I went there, and then I drove back along a really beautiful riverside. And so one of the things I was grateful for was that I got to drive that beautiful winding riverside road um, that day because it was really lovely. The sun was shining. It was cold out, and the sun was shining, and there was snow on everything. And I could drive it fairly slowly, not a lot of traffic. And it was just a lovely moment in the middle of a busy day. So that's the sort of thing that you can write down. In terms of actually how to do gratitudes, the advice that I would give is not to write generalities, write specifics. So don't say, I'm grateful for my health, because you could say that every day, and eventually it will just become kind of rote and sort of meaningless. Well, not meaningless exactly, but it's not concrete enough to really evoke in you the feelings of gratitude that writing the gratitudes is supposed to evoke. So you don't say, I'm grateful for my health. You say, at my age, you can say things like, I am really grateful that today my knees didn't hurt as I walked up the stairs, right? Or you might say, I am really grateful that my doctor, that I could get a doctor's appointment within a week for whatever it is that you want to see a doctor about. So you can be grateful for actual specific things. I am really grateful that I chose today to have a healthy breakfast, you know, because I've been skipping breakfast lately or whatever. Your gratitudes can be about things that you do. Sometimes I'm grateful for things I get done in a day, but you can also be grateful for things that happen to you. I don't know, you're in Tim Hortons, our local iconic Canadian coffee shop, and somebody ahead of you pays for your coffee or your tea. I've had that happen to me. It's kind of fun. Or, you get unexpected good news of some sort. Or it's even better when something really wonderful happens that you have been affirming or visualizing, and it hasn't, and it happens, right? Oh, you got to buy the house you always wanted, or even something smaller. You finished a month and you had a little bit of money in the bank account instead of being in deficit, because you were trying to improve your finances. I mean, they're just an infinite number of things to be grateful for. You can do this even when things are tough. I have a friend. She's been a friend for decades, and decades ago she was going through a very rough divorce, and we were talking about that. I mean, every day was just hell, and it went on for, I don't know, months, maybe years. I don't remember very well, but I remember suggesting to her that she keep a gratitude journal, and she did actually do that. And she said that it actually really, really helped. It got her through what were just the worst months or years of her life, going through that really horrible, ugly, not amicable divorce. And because it forced her every day to look for something that was good, and that helped take her thoughts away from the negative spiral downward of things that was just oppressing her. I remember on the worst day of my life, which was the day my husband died suddenly, almost 20 and a half years ago. and he died of a sudden heart attack. He died at 3 in the morning. And that night, um, after a very long day, I did my gratitude journal. I was sobbing as I did it. My sister-in-law had to sit and hold my hand as I did it, and I sobbed all the way through it. And I found 3 or 4 or 5, I don't remember now, but at least 3 things to be grateful for. That family had rallied around, that I had the support of people, that Dan did not suffer long. I don't remember what all the things were that I put down, but I know that I actually wrote it. And so even in the worst times, even if someone has to hold your hand and you have to sob all the way through it, you can find something to be grateful for in any circumstance. Most days are much more mundane than that, you know. And you think, I don't know, you think, oh, I'm grateful for today. Let me see what I've got here. I'm grateful for today because I spent an hour at Tim Hortons with my friends. I'm grateful for today because I cooked peas and cabbage and edamame beans. I don't like to cook, and the fact that I cooked healthy vegetables that I could eat for several days, that's something that I'm grateful for, that I had the willingness to do. Oh, and on that same day, it says, I am grateful that February is almost over. That was on the 17th of February. I'm grateful that February is almost over because it's a very long month in the wintertime. So, you know, you can be a little flip about it, but it really does help you to if you're someone who thinks negative thoughts, because I read somewhere recently, or I heard on a podcast, I think people say that positive thoughts slide off like Teflon, and negative thoughts stick to us like Velcro. And I think that's true. That same thing happens with comments that other people make about us. I remember years ago when I was teaching, and if I would have a class, I was doing corporate training, and so I would go into a company for 1, 2, or 3 days, depending on the subject and the course I was teaching, and then I would get evaluations at the end of that. And gosh, if one person out of 30 rated me at a 3 or less, I was distraught. Out of 5, I was distraught. And if they weren't all 4s and 5s, I would carry that around for days. I could have had 30 people in the class, and 29 of them thought I was a 4 or a 5 and really enjoyed the class and got a lot out of it. And that would be like nothing. That would be, well, that's how it ought to be. But that one person who didn't quite like it, who called me up on things, and I learned things from those negative comments, but boy, they stuck with me like Velcro a lot of the time. And it took a long time to just learn to take the learning from that and move on. And we'll talk about that in some other video maybe. So same thing with your thoughts. You can be having negative thoughts, and the way to turn that around, about yourself, about others, about how life treats you, I don't know, about being a victim of whatever, about having endured real injuries, real traumas, real insults, really horrible things. I don't, luckily, have a lot of experience with that in my life, but things have hurt me. Things have been difficult at times with certain people or whatever. And so the temptation is to spiral down into that thinking. And when you do, I just don't think it does you any good. If you can't just take the learning from something and move on, it doesn't help. So doing gratitudes, no matter how fake it feels at the beginning, will help you focus on what is good and what is positive, and what good things can happen in your life and are happening. You just may not be noticing them because you're too far into the depths of the negative. So anything that someone says that's kind or comforting, anything that happens in a day that is a slight little coincidence that gives you a little bit of joy, anything, the sun shining on the snow outside, and you don't have to go out in it, but you can look at it, anything can help you to turn that around and to become a little more positive. So be precise, be specific in what you do, talk about that actual thing. And then if you ever look back on it, it will help you remember that day too, which is kind of neat. I don't keep my gratitude journals. I tear them up and throw them away later. I have to tear the hardcover books off, and I tear them up and I throw them away afterward. Um, I keep them maybe for a year or so, I don't know, and then I just say, well, time to get rid of that, and off they go. But they help me in the time. They they keep me in a positive frame of mind, and that's really important for having a happy life, which is what this channel is all about. My channel, by the way, is Jam Today, Judith's, no apostrophe, Judith's POV, point of view. I don't know why I chose that name. I just couldn't think of anything better. And because I want it to cover a lot of things, mostly about how to live a happy and successful life, but I might stray into some other subjects along the way, things that I've learned. Um, things that I've learned. Most of the things that I've learned, though, are about that. But also how to succeed in maybe some other. I might get into some business things. Well, who knows? We'll see where this goes. Going back to gratitude. Oh, like and subscribe. I think I'm supposed to say that. Like and subscribe. So anyway, back to gratitude. I call it the grace of gratitude. And the reason I call it that is, well, I went back to the dictionary. When I came up with that title, I went back to the dictionary, I looked at it. And there are a number of definitions of the word grace. So if you're talking about movement, graceful movement, a movement that's full of grace, then it's talking about an easy flow motion that looks effortless, that looks enjoyable, that's pleasing to the eye. If you're talking about ways of behaving like social graces, being a graceful person, a person who is graceful in their manner, who is full of social graces, is usually fair, impartial, sorry, itchy eye, fair, impartial, and kindness. And that also is the sense of it when it's used often in a religious sense, when we talk about the grace of God. That is forgiveness or kindness or I'm trying to think of another word for grace. An abundance of generosity that's given without you even having to deserve it. So we talk about the grace of God. There's a Christian hymn, Amazing Grace, which is about that kind of, it could be about forgiveness, it's about kindness, it's about just an outflowing of love for you, whether or not you merit it. And finally, grace as a noun is the kind of prayer that is often said in Christian families, and I don't know about other religions, that is said, kind of thing that is said for for a blessing over food. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. For a blessing over food, and so the grace of gratitude is really that state of mind that it puts you in which things do feel joyful and effortless, in which you feel kind and loving toward others because you're feeling supported with good things flowing to you, in which you can receive the grace of the universe or God or the world or other people, and in which you are thankful, as you would be thankful for your food, that you are thankful for those things that have happened that are good. I guess I want to say another couple of things about the actual gratitudes. You can use these in a kind of spiritual way. That is, you're thanking God or your higher power or the universe for them, but they don't have to be spiritual. You can be simply just saying, I feel thankful. Thank you, world. Thank you, whoever said the thing to me. Thank you, journal, for making me think about it today. Doesn't have to be spiritual at all. So that's another thing just to keep in mind. So I think that likely pretty much covers it. I would encourage you to actually start. You don't have to think about. You don't have to do 3 things. Do one thing. Sometimes I've only done one. Occasionally I miss a day, not because it's been a really hard day, but just because, I don't know, I don't get around to checking things off that night. Sometimes I go back and fill it in. Sometimes I don't. I just leave it blank for that day. But I always feel bad when I see a blank space in my gratitude journal. Um, I, I find it gives me pleasure, and I try to fill my life with things that give me pleasure. So it isn't a hard thing to do. It's something that can make you feel actually quite good. So I would encourage you to try a gratitude journal and enjoy the grace of gratitude. So until next time, be a good person. Keep trying, keep making efforts, and taking action, and uh, and know that you can have a happy and successful life, successful on your own terms. And I hope to be able to help you toward that. Till the next time.